Welcome back to Banfield. My guest for the hour, the inimitable Dr. Phil McGraw. So, Phil, I'm reading the New York Post this weekend. I open up this story about a teen rapper named Babie, B-H-A-B-I, and her real name is Danielle Bragoli, and she's saying, I want an apology from Dr. Phil, and if I don't get an apology by some date, I'm going to handle it my own way. She says that I was on his show 5 years ago, and I was recommended to go off to this boot camp, and they were abusive at this boot camp. I want to play this, the soundbite from your show so everybody knows who this person is and what she was like at 13 years old. Her mom brought her on the show to say, I can't handle her anymore. So here's that moment off your show.
And all these hoes laughing like something funny.
She's talking about the audience, that they're laughing at her.
Did you say the hoes are laughing?
Yep.
So the audience are a bunch of hoes?
Yep. Catch me outside, how about that?
Huh?
Catch me outside, how about that?
Catch you outside? What does that mean?
What I just said.
Catch her outside, and she'll go outside and do what she has to do. That's what she's talking about.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Boy, I had a vague recollection of that young. And by the way, let's remind everyone, that was 13. Not sure how I would have handled that 13-year-old if she were my 13-year-old. But let's talk about her and what she's now doing in her accusations. She says that the place that she was recommended to go was abusive to her, wouldn't let her sleep. What are your responses to her?
Well, you know, she went to Turnabout 4 or 5 years ago, and if she had a bad experience, you know, obviously I would hate that. We'd be sorry about that, but we don't have anything to do with what happens with guests once they leave the stage. I mean, that's between the guardian and the parent and whatever facility they go to. So we're not involved in that. We don't have any feedback from them. So whatever happens once they're there, that's between them and the facility. I assume she had a problem. She filed a complaint with the proper authorities or something 5 years ago. So I really don't know much about it.
So there's the other issue, is like when you have a child like that who is incorrigible. I mean, I just watched that behavior and I thought, wow, first of all, calling a group of people you don't know who are mostly your elders a bunch of hoes, and then saying, catch me outside, how about that, meaning I'm going to beat you up outside. We didn't even show the part of the clip where she came at her mom on the stage because her mom said she was mouthy. You know, what do you do with young people like that? What else is there but some tough love, you know, at a ranch or where else? You can't coddle kids like that.
Well, you know, I think every situation is different, and there are a lot of these children, teenagers and adolescents that my approach has been, I don't ask myself why you're the way you are. I ask myself why not, because if you look at their upbringing, and I'm not talking about this story, it was 5 years ago. I don't remember too much about it, but you know, kids are raised in different environments, and you got to look at each case separately. Some of them were raised in a lot of chaos and a lot of turmoil, and so they do what they have to survive. But you still have to protect them from themselves. And I think that the main thing is to, you know, get the child through that year, then get them through the next year, then the next year, and then pretty soon they're adults and you've gotten them through that tough patch. And that's the hard thing that parents have to make a decision about is, you know, what path do I take? And, you know, we point parents in a direction of, I try to be an emotional compass and point parents in a direction. If they're being inconsistent with their parenting or something, I try to point that out, put it on a to-do list for them. But the real work starts, you know, once they get home and have to realign what they're doing. And it's not easy in this day and time. There's social media influences, fast-paced life. Kids grow up really fast these days.
You know what, Phil? I got to tell you, the more I hear from teachers and coaches and other parents of the behavior of kids at school. I mean, I thought it was shocking when a teacher told me, 5 or 6 years ago, that the kids regularly drop F-bombs at the teacher, telling them to F this and F you and all the rest. And that's normal. And now my kids who are in middle school and high school say it is normal. How did we get to this point where you're allowed, A, to drop an F-bomb anywhere if you're a kid, and B, that you're allowed to do that to a teacher?
Well, you know, it's just a lack of consequences. And I think teachers are modern day heroes. I think they spend more time with our children sometimes than we do, because they spend, 8 to 3:30 with our kids, probably 40% of their waking hours. But there's a lack of consequences. These children are really with adults that are hamstrung on terms of what they can do, in terms of what they can visit on the child in terms of consequences. Can they take them out of the classroom? Can they require them to do additional work? Can they put them into counseling where they learn better communication skills or whatever? And until we put that kind of thing in the curriculum, it's not going to get better. We teach kids how to read and write and add and subtract, a little bit about geography and history, but we don't teach them how to live. We don't teach them how to deal with anxiety, depression, bullying. We don't teach them how to deal with all of those things, and that's got to become part of the curriculum. And until it does, until you put money behind it and time in the curriculum for it, then we're not ever going to teach these children how to navigate better and how to behave better. And I think that has to be part of what we do.
Well, I'm so not finished this line of questioning. I have to fit in a break, but when I come back, can I ask you a little bit more? And that is that, look, when we were kids, we got the strap, we got the brush. If you were at school, you might have had to put your hands out and you'd get the ruler. But there was some amount of pain that came along with bad behavior. And I know that the spanking debate has been well worn out long ago, but now we're dealing with a generation of kids who tell teachers to F off. And I'm just wondering, have we made a mistake in saying we've got to find another route? This is for after the break. I want you to think about where we can go next, especially as parents, in bringing these kids into line and figuring out consequences that do work, because many of us use timeouts and they don't work. So That's coming up after the break. And I also want to talk to you a little bit about Oprah, your relationship with Oprah, and the whole Meghan and Harry interview. So that's coming up next, Phil.
When you're